Hello everyone, and welcome back. Got my book, and I have my therapy friends. So without further ado, shall we begin? And as always, if you don't remember where we were, tough luck. There are previous videos you can watch. Unless YouTubers blocked them, of course, but I can't see that happening. Can't imagine they deal with a little small fry like me. Then again, you never know. So let's just... There we go, that's better. I know what... here we go. Don't know if you remember, last time we spoke about spanking. Personally, I disapprove. I'm sure most people here do as well. But I'm not going to judge anyone who does. I'm sure you have your reasons and whatnot. And if you want to start an argument that this isn't the place, by the way, alright? Actually, do so. Do so, because the comments will get the algorithm going. You know, and more people will notice. And YouTube will recommend it. I think that's how it works anyway. But to go back to the book, we shall continue. To this question, grandmother might observe sagely, we didn't have all this trouble back in the good old days before all these books on modern psychology. I bet they did. See, if I've read little bits of history, even more recent history. One thing I've learned is that they had the same problems that we did now. The only difference is that we are more slightly open about these things. Still had vice, you still had alcohol and drugs and all those other things causing problems. People didn't speak about it back then. Nowadays we talk about it more. It's what they call survivorship bias. Because you somehow survived the era and everything about it, you think it was a golden sunlit upland. But that's just life, I suppose. Back to the book, by the way. Grandmother has a point, though, since there was a great deal of good in the old days. Of course, it wasn't all bad. It was observed by Giselle and Ilg, who were Arnold Giselle, I may be pronouncing it, I may not, and Francis Ilg, who wrote the book Infant and Child in the Culture of Today back in 1943. In the more modern, this is the quote, by the way. In the more olden times, the world of nature and of human relationship expanded in a rather orderly manner, keeping pace with the maturity of the child. The home was large, membership of the family numerous, and usually there was another child to be born. Someone was always near to look after the preschool child and take him by gradual stages into his widening world, step by step as his demands gradually increased. There was free space around his home, a field, a meadow, an orchard. There were animals in barn, pen, coop, and pasture. To be honest with you, that sounds like quite a well-off family. Some of these fellow creatures were young like himself. He could feast his eyes on them, touch them sometimes, and even embrace them. Thomas played a transforming trick with this environment. The apartment child, and to some extent even the suburban child of today, has been greatly deprived of his former companions, human and infrahuman. Domestic living space has contracted to the dimensions of a few rooms, a porch, a yard, perhaps to a single room with one or two windows. That's the end of the quote, by the way. Now they lament the loss to the small child of today of ample intimate contact with growing life with other children with a variety of adults. Not only does there seem to be a lack of these early good experiences, there is also a deluge of frightening incoming data. It is true there has always been wars and atrocities, but they didn't happen in the living room on the television set. Long before the child is able to cope with the elementary difficulties of getting along in the family, he is introduced to what my little girl calls a screwy world of race riots, child prisoners blindfolded at bayonet point, mass murder, and world leaders debating the possibility of global annihilation. Bear in mind this would have been the 60s, at the height of the Cold War. So nuclear annihilation was on the table. And for a brief period during the 60s, it was apparently this close. This freaking close. I'm talking about, that's a reference to the Cuban Missile Crisis, by the way. Fun fact, in Russia, they call it the Caribbean Crisis. Thought you might want to know that. I don't know what year it was, but it'll be on the screen. Or I may have done a little information bit before. Either way, the information would have been on the screen for you to see at some point. Add to this the difficulty for the small child sorting out what is fact and what is fiction. Is this the news or is it a movie? Is that the head of the cavalry or is that the governor? Does smoking cause cancer or is it the breath of spring? Well, we now know that smoking does cause cancer, which is why, it's slowly being eradicated. Slowly, of course, because it takes time. And habits are hard to drop, admittedly. Now, here in the UK, once you turn, I believe anyone born after 2009 will not be able to buy cigarettes at all. They will be able to buy vapes, which admittedly I don't know much about, but I'm pretty certain it's probably just as damaging in the long term as smoking off tobacco is, but what do I know? Oh, funny enough, we're about to find out about the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's mentioned here. Now, actually, before I go on, I will say this now. Little things like genocide, race riots, and other atrocities have been going on since the dawn of time. And the only difference nowadays is that nowadays we know about it. I mean, I remember when I was 14, the first genocide I ever had to really deal with and know about was the Serbian genocide of the Kosovars. Kosovans. I remember it because if you remember, there was a big war. Well, I say big war. NATO got involved and the genocide stopped soon after that. I remember because when war was declared, several teachers in the school decided to give us a little brief down of how and what was happening. Obviously, questions were being asked that wasn't being answered at home. But I remember it. And think about that, probably was really when I first really realised that genocide was a thing. Before that, you don't. You just don't. But the sad fact is, all the whole things that humans do to each other now has been going on since the dawn of time. The only difference is nowadays, we hear about it. I mean, much I hate to say it, if the attempted genocide of Kosovo was carried out, say, in 100 years previously, we would not have known about it. It would just be a footnote in history, like the Armenian genocide or one of the others that took place during that period of time. I'm sure there are others, I just can't think of their names right now. Then again, it's not something I really look into, if you know what I mean. Once again, if you wish to argue the point, you can put comments down because it will drive up popularity and views of the page. I will, however, ignore you. Just so you know. Back to the book now. I'm done talking. During the Cuban crisis in 1962, my daughter Heidi, then in kindergarten where the youngsters were being taught atom bomb drills, said to her mother, "Mama, let's talk about the war and the bomb and things." Mother replied, "Okay, Heidi, what shall we say about it?" To which Heidi replied, "You say all the words, Mama. I don't know even the words about this." This, then, is the world as we find it. Not some sheltered partial scene with little lambs and yellow flowers and a good ship lollipop. That's a song about child prostitution, by the way. I'm pretty certain it is. I mean, it sounds cute, but then again, a lot of olden songs were filled with sexual innuendo that you just didn't know about. Seems obvious now, but at the time it probably didn't. People didn't think about it quite so much, I don't think. Or maybe they knew it was there and just chose not to say anything. If anyone here has been back in time to those days, then if you could fill me in, that'd be great. I could be wrong, of course, about the good ship lollipop. I mean, I don't want to, create controversy where there isn't. Actually, there'd be a footnote on the screen explaining whether I'm right or wrong. But a world of anger and clashing sounds amplified to such levels that the temptation is to turn it off and not care about the difference between Clairol and crime, or the difference between the assassination of a president, which I don't think has happened yet, and the current demise of a cattle rustler in a black hat. God, I hate W's and R's. Will Rogers. The name will be on the screen. You know what I bloody well mean. And once again, if you wish to take the mick of my little inability to pronounce R's and W's, do so. The comments will simply drive up the page and I will ignore you. Unless you have something positive to say, then I probably will actually read it properly and reply. The man once said, "For schools ain't what they used to be and never was. Maybe the good old days never was either, but the badness did not touch children as early and as intimately as it does today. This does not change the problem, but makes it more urgent than ever that parents have a tool to help the children develop an adult early to get along in the world as it is." This is something I've always said. The good old days were never that good. So I remember when I was growing up, people always used to say, there was always people older than me talking about the good old days. And now a lot of people, well not most, but a lot of people in my generation now do it too. They talk about the 90s and the zeros as if somehow they were some utopia. I don't. They were a different era, and that's that. Wasn't better, wasn't worse, it's just the era that we know and we still get sentimental over. I know I do. I mean, recently I started rewatching a show called Black Books from that era. And it's, in my opinion, it's brilliant, but truth is, if I had kids and I showed it to them, they'd probably look at it maybe the same way that I look at some of those old sitcoms from the 60s and 70s. I mean, some are good. Some old TV shows are very good. Others are terrible, but it's sad about TV now. And it's the same for TV when I was growing up as well. Some shows were good. Some shows were bad. We don't talk about the bad ones. I need the good ones. Yes, I know I'm talking a lot tonight, people, but sometimes it just gets me talking, you know? We're not going to get much read tonight, I don't think, but you know what? Doesn't matter. Anyway, on with the book. Where to start? Ideally, we would like to start at the beginning. One effective application of transactional analysis has been a teaching program for expectant parents. Expectant. Those expectant and expecting parents really has the same meaning. Which has been conducted in Sacramento since 1965 by Dr. and Mrs. Irwin Eichhorn. Could be pronouncing it right, I presume. He is an obstetrician gynecologist and she is a teacher of nursing at Sacramento City College. Always seems strange to me that a man would actually choose to go into gynecology. All the different things in medical school, they say yes, that's what I want to focus my energy to. Maybe someone does have to do it though. Then again, I'll say the same thing about, dermatologists, people that deal with pimple popping. Actually, if you are a doctor, if you deal with any of those things, let me know in the comments what made you choose that field. I'd love to know. I seriously would. Anyway, in most obstetrical practices, preparation for childbirth generally includes instructions for the parents-to-be, particularly for mothers, in what to expect during pregnancy, labour and childbirth. With information as well about the physical care of the infant, this frequently is supplemented with various books and films, which have portrayed an idyllic life with the new baby. There may be some discussion given to the negative aspects of the experience, such as the possibility of post-baby blues. I believe they call it postnatal depression now. I could be wrong. Or fatigue or colic. Not sure what colic is. There'd be a thing on the screen. Because I'm trying to learn. Trying to bet myself, you know. But there has rarely been any specific examination in depth about the relationship between husband and wife, new mother and new father, and this beautiful and sometimes terrifying new little person, the baby. Most obstetricians would have liked to help the young couple in this way, but there was no system that could be quickly taught, easily understood and readily put to use. Many an obstetrician has spent many an hour in sympathetic discussion of difficulties in the family situation, feeling anxiety by answering questions and attempting to allay fear by kindly support. Others have relied on a more parental position, which in essence says, you follow my instructions and do as I say and everything will turn out alright. However, if there are serious relationship problems between a couple, this kind of approach may relegate these problems somewhere down on the priority list, since after all, the baby must come first. Yet unresolved, they remain a source of constant irritation and alienation to both mother and father during the earliest months or years of the infant's life, during which time the most fundamental imprints are made on said child. The Eichhorns, who are both members of the board of directors of the Institute for Transactional Analysis, began introducing the teaching of parent-adult-child to their expectant parent classes in 1965. Evening meetings for both husband and wife are scheduled weekly. Attendance is voluntary, but most couples attend regularly. In addition to the regular instructions about pregnancy, labour and delivery, the fundamentals of transactional analysis are taught. Is that there? Yes. Before I turned more than one page then for a moment. I didn't. These are taught in terms of the actual experience the couple is involved in, having a baby. It is a tool that is being put together for a special purpose, but one which a couples find can be used for many other problems in living after the baby arrives. Total group instruction in parent-adult-child for each couple is about 24 hours, but the language thus developed provides the basis for further discussion as the mother-to-be arrives for a regular obstetrical checkup, frequently accompanied by a husband who is made to feel a part of the show rather than an onlooker. I think that's nice. Now, before we get to it, because this is a long bit, I'm going to call this a night because it's coming up to 18 minutes on my thing. This is roughly the average time for a video, and I shouldn't really do too many, or make them too long anyway. So, I've been James. I hope you all take care of yourselves, and remember, I love each and every single one of you, alright? Bye.